Hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we get back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, February 23rd. Hope it's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Tuesday, February 3rd or 23rd here today. Hopefully everybody is doing good. Sports is in full action. MLB official spring training position players. This is their first full day of practice. It's going to be super exciting to see. Now all the full teams obviously reported to spring training by now. Yesterday they all reported. Today is their first full day of full practice with the full team. Guys like Judge, guys like Stanton, guys like Frazier, guys like Torres, guys like, Gardner is just freshly signed, Voit, all different guys, the rest of the position players, Mike Ford, all those different guys, Hicks, all of them. I think I said Judge in there as well. All reported yesterday. Today was their first full day of practice, so that was really good. And hopefully their practice is going well. It's one thing I wish the Yankees did was a live stream. I know I've seen clips. I've seen so many clips of spring training and stuff, but it would be really nice to get a live stream from them. But you don't get it. But I watch all the clips, whether that's, someone fielding it, whether that's someone, whatever the case may be. But I've been seeing a lot of clips, and I'm sure many other Yankees fans like me have been watching their spring training clips and have been watching, Glaber, the Gio Urshela. I mean, even that's just simple stuff. A minute and a half video of me watching Gio Urshela. Something about that, I just like to watch that. I mean, it's the simplest thing. It's literally Gio Urshela fielding ground balls, and I find that entertaining. Many people might not, but that's how I am. I'm a big fan of baseball, so that kind of stuff I really enjoy to watch, and I'm sure you do too if you're a big fan of baseball as well. But these are the topics for today. In regards to last night, not crazy, really. In regards to sports, I watched the Duke-Syracuse game, and I saw a little bit of the Oklahoma State-Texas Tech game, but, nothing crazy yesterday in sports today. Nets play, so I'll definitely be watching that. And then tomorrow the Rangers play, so kind of a little bit of a lull yesterday in the sports action, not too much on, which is kind of common. Monday nights, not a lot on. Usually college basketball starts up on Tuesday, and college basketball usually has games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then Saturday. You catch your occasional game on a Monday or a Friday or a Sunday, but for the most part, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursday are your prime game days for basketball. Obviously, they've got the Super Tuesday, which is 2 games on ESPN, 2 bigger games. So we got some college basketball today, and obviously the Nets play today. But for last night's action, nothing too crazy. A couple games here and there, but we got a good Nets game tonight. Hopefully they get the win. But these are the topics for today. We got Dak Prescott rumors. I'll be talking about Dak Prescott, kind of talking about the situation there in Dallas involving Dak and involving the Cowboys front office and involving this whole contract thing that it feels like we've been talking about since he joined the league. I mean, it's the truth. It feels like we've been talking about Dak Prescott getting a contract since the beginning of last season, and we are still talking about it now. I have a very firm, strong opinion on it. I'm always open to both sides. I always really think that, people definitely, you can make the argument for either side that he doesn't deserve a big contract or he does. I have a very strong opinion on this one, and I believe I'm not going to tell you what I think, but I'm just going to tell you I have a very strong opinion, and I really think that, a lot of people misinterpret Dak Prescott, and I'll tell you why coming up in a little bit. Then we got NHL franchise tag rumors. Today was official, the first day for NFL teams, coaches, organizations, GMs to put franchise tags on players. So we'll get into that. If you don't know what a franchise tag is, it's almost like it's not really like a 1-year deal, but it's almost like something where you give the guy his base salary, you give him a franchise tag. If you franchise tag him, that means he's going to stay with you guys for 1 year, and in the next year he enters back into free agency. So you kind of avoid him walking straight into free agency. You can just you can franchise tag him, keep him on the team. Each team only has 1 franchise tag, so you got to really use it wisely, or you can even use use an exclusive franchise tag where it gives the players a little bit more of his money and gives him a little bit more options of what he wants to do. But franchise tag is if you don't want to sign the guy to a long term, but at the same time you don't want him to walk into free agency. It's one of those things where you settle on it, give him a franchise tag. So I'll give you some guys that could possibly could get a franchise tag, and some guys that I think will probably get a franchise tag. We'll get into that. Then to finish out the podcast, we got college basketball, NBA, NHL, fantasy, and the rest of your New York sports update. So that should be really good. I'm excited about tonight's Nets game. First time in about a year. Barclays Center, which is the Nets' home arena, will be allowing fans. It will be allowing fans. I think it's only like 10%, I think, or something like. It's not too much. But fans are fans. They're allowed into the building again, so that's really good. So, not that I'm gonna just watch the game just because I want to see what the fans are, but I kind of want to see, I don't want to over exaggerate this, but I want to see if I can notice a difference, even in just the noise and stuff. I mean, it's only a couple hundred, I think. I don't think they're allowing thousands because the Barclays Center is a little smaller than like a Madison Square Garden. But it's not like they're having a sold out crowd. It's just a couple hundred. So, I just want to see, if there's any difference. I want to see, obviously, I kind of want to finally see the seats because the Nets have all their seats tarped off. So it's going to actually be nice to watch a basketball game now, knowing that there's seats that are open for fans to watch the game in. So it's good to have fans back slowly. Sports and the stadiums and the states of whatever state you're in. Whether you're in a state that's been allowing fans for a long time, or a state that's just starting to allow fans again. Whatever the case may be, it's definitely good to see fans entering the buildings again. And as for me, who I love to go to sporting events, it's obviously exciting too because I'm going to be excited to hit up some. It's going to be exciting to get some sporting events again. Obviously, that's one thing that's really been missed out. Obviously, you still got to watch them on TV, but something about being in a stadium with the crowd, watching the game in person, just gives you a different vibe than when you watch a game on TV. That's my view on it. I could go on and on about this, but we do got to get to the podcast here today. So this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So Dak Prescott. We've been so Dak Prescott, first off, before I go really into Dak Prescott and really into this, so there was 2 reports that came out, and like I said, I've always said this, I don't try to buy too much into rumors. I don't like to, rumors, I don't like to buy much into rumors. I don't like to buy, too much into, a source saying this, or an insider saying this, or an insider saying this. I will definitely view it and hope that it's obviously that it's a factual information. But at the same time, I look at things as, rumors are good and all. They make things interesting and all, but sometimes rumors can also cause chaos. They can make fans, wonder. But this is honestly the case here with Dak Prescott. So I think it was either yesterday or 2 days ago, a report came out about Dak Prescott possibly wanting about the Cowboys and Dak Prescott being close on a contract extension and being close on a contract extension, and he would like to get a contract extension done by March 9th. That's what they said, and they said they're very confident. Now, and this is why I decided to talk about this today. Now, today, a report comes out that says this: Dak Prescott rumors. No progress has been made on long-term Cowboys contract. So this is one of these things where it's like you need a third report to come out. Okay, it's a tiebreaker right now. If a third report comes out and says they're close, then I guess they're closer than what we think. But currently, we've gotten one report that says they're close to a deal, and we've gotten another report from probably the same insiders and about the same people that now saying that they're not close. So this is exactly what happened last year with Dak Prescott. We were getting reports that they were close. We were getting reports that they were negotiating really well, and then we were getting the reports that the two sides were not even close on a contract, and they barely even started contract talks and are not negotiating anything. So this is, I feel like, exactly the same thing that's going to happen again this year. We're going to hear reports that Dak Prescott is going to sign a long-term extension, and then we're going to hear reports that Dak Prescott is either going to get franchise tagged again or going to get walked into free agency and get picked up by another team. That's what I really feel like, and that's the situation we're in right now. Now, here is my personal opinion on this, and I want to get into this little thing, and I'll get into the numbers, why I think Dak Prescott, why I think my opinion on Dak Prescott is, why I have this opinion on Dak Prescott. I would first off like to say this. I'm on the side, there's always two sides, right? I'm on the side of I think the Cowboys should sign Dak Prescott to a long-term extension and give him a lot of money. I'm on that side. I know there's a lot of people that say they shouldn't. I know there's a lot of people think that he's overrated. I know there's a lot of people that just don't like Dak Prescott. I personally really like Dak Prescott ever since he's came into the league. He's always been kind of an underdog kind of guy. I always like the underdogs. I always think it's pretty cool to see a guy come into a league. I mean, this was a guy who wasn't even supposed to start in his first season with the Cowboys, and sure enough, led the Cowboys to a 13-3 record, and obviously won the NFC East, and obviously went in as number 1 seed. Obviously ended up losing to the Green Bay Packers, but at the same time, they still went 13-3. They still got the playoffs, and this was a guy, if it was never for Tony Romo's back injury he had that really ended his career, we would never know what Dak Prescott really would have been. And I like that kind of stuff. And I like that kind of stuff where, players come in, underdogs, come in. Everyone's always talking about the top pick in the draft. Like Ezekiel Elliott was the talk of that team. Dak Prescott comes around, starts playing amazing, and he was a big part of that team that made the playoffs. And that's another thing, too, is Dak Prescott. I really like him. I've liked him since he come to the league. But I feel like, and this is where, a lot of people might take Dak Prescott and just completely go on the other side of the spectrum saying he shouldn't get a long-term deal. Dak Prescott gets a really bad rap. I feel like a lot of people don't like Dak Prescott because he's on the Dallas Cowboys. And a lot of people don't like the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not a big Cowboys fan myself. If it came down to rooting for the Cowboys or the Patriots, I would root for the Cowboys. If it came down to rooting for the Cowboys versus like a team like the Steelers, I would root for the Cowboys because I can't stand the Steelers or the Patriots. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm going to root for the Cowboys every single game. I'm not, I don't have as much, and that's because the Cowboys really haven't done much to my organization. I can't stand the Patriots because they've dominated the Jets for the past 2 decades. That's why I don't like Tom Brady. But the Cowboys, I don't want to say I can't stand them, but I don't want to say I love them either. I really have no, I'm not a huge, I'll definitely, they're not my favorite. They're not my, they're not my team that if they're in the playoffs, I'm going to be like, I really want to see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl this year. That's not going to be the thing, right? Obviously I'm a Jets fan, but outside of the Jets, the Cowboys aren't one of these teams that, like this year, if the Cowboys would have been in the playoffs, I wanted to see the Chiefs make the Super Bowl after, I wanted to see the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Now, if it was the Chiefs-Cowboys, I probably would take the Chiefs, but, it might just be because I'm not an NFC East fan, I'm not a Giants fan, I'm not a Washington fan, I'm not an Eagles fan, so maybe I don't experience as much against the Cowboys because we play each other about once every 4 years, so I might not feel that, I don't really feel that way, but, Dak Prescott, I feel like it's a bad rap in a way because he's with the Cowboys and because he's with a team that's owned by Jerry Jones, and not many people like Jerry Jones. I shouldn't even say not many. I don't think anyone likes Jerry Jones. I think even some Cowboys fans don't like Jerry Jones, and I think most of the NFL doesn't like Jerry Jones, and myself included. I'm not a big Jerry Jones fan, but once again, I don't really care, but I don't really care for the Cowboys either. I play them. The Jets play them once every 4 years, so it's not like it's not like I have to deal with Jerry Jones twice every year if I was in his division or anywhere in the NFC. I'm a Jets fan. We're in the AFC. We're in the AFC East. We don't play the Cowboys that much. So, something like that. So, in this case with Dak Prescott, I feel like he gets a bad rap. Cowboys, them calling America's team, back, when they won all the Super Bowls, Jerry Jones and getting all these different guys here. And I feel like all of a sudden, automatically people just can't stand Dak Prescott. But you really, sometimes you can't judge a player off of if you hate him or you love him. If you like a player, but he's not good, then, for example, I like Sam Darnold. I like Sam Darnold. I like him. I think, I'm not a huge Sam Darnold fan, but, I'll root for him. I hope that, if it's not with the Jets, I hope he can turn around somewhere else. But obviously, I do think it's time for a fresh start. You could say that about anything. I like Le'Veon Bell. He struggled with the Jets. He obviously got released, but I'll still root for Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, there's guys out there. Do I think Le'Veon Bell is that good anymore? No, but I'll root for him, right? There's so many guys out there. But Dak Prescott, I feel like people don't like the Cowboys, so they automatically just don't like Dak Prescott. I feel like that's not fair. And that's why I feel like there's more people out there that part to the side, that go to the side that, oh, Dak Prescott's going to get the long-term extension. But if you look at the numbers, Dak Prescott didn't miss a game in his career until last season when he had the horrifying and terrible ankle injury that he suffered against the New York Giants, and I believe it was week 5 of the NFL season. Okay, he didn't miss one start his entire career until that happened. Obviously, then he missed the remainder of the season. But everyone always talks about players not being able to stay healthy, players getting big contracts, and then not being able to stay healthy. That's the big talk right now with the Yankees and Aaron Judge. If Aaron Judge has another has another year where he's pounded with injuries and he has got multiple IL stints, do you give Aaron Judge the money, or do you look to get rid of him or have him walk into free agency? That's a big question the Yankees are going to have to answer. I know it's crazy that we might have to be wondering if Aaron Judge is going to re-sign with the Yankees, but it's the truth. That's why it's a very low-risk deal re-signing Dak Prescott. I'll tell you why. Okay, Dak Prescott doesn't get injured often. And I don't sit here and say, or I'm not going to sit here and be that guy that's going to wonder, oh, well, he injured last season. Is this going to be a common theme? No, I understand it was a terrible injury, but it's not like it was a injury where it was like to your throwing arm or a shoulder injury where, you can easily re-injure it. I mean, obviously you could very well get a fracture like that again where the bone's sticking out of your leg, but it's not like it's something where it's on his throwing arm and it happens, about every week he gets this pain in his arm or something. It's not like that. It's different. That's something. He got it fixed. He got his ankle fixed, and now he should be good to go. He's never missed a game in his career until last season. And everyone always talks about, oh, well, if we're going to give this guy the money, he's got to stay healthy. I don't know if we should give him the money. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. Well, Dak Prescott, if you got a checklist and in order for you to decide whether he gets the money or not, does he stay healthy? Check off the yes, because he does. Outside of last season, he does. And I'm not going to be that guy right now that says outside of this injury, and this injury, he doesn't stay healthy. It was one injury in his career. You know how many times players have, how many times players get these big contracts and play 11 or 13 games or they'll play 14 games every season? This is a guy that played all 16 games in the regular season, including playoff games. He never missed a start for the Dallas Cowboys. He played in every single game. He's always started. Last season was the first time, and it's not like something that he could have played through. He had a bone sticking out of his ankle. So it's not like something he could have played through. He's had times where he's had a little of injury and he plays through it. This is a guy that truly loves the game. He's very rarely does he get injured, and when he's healthy, he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So check that box off your list. The next thing is, what about his accuracy, his arm strength, all that stuff? Check that box off too. This is a guy with an incredible arm strength. He can throw the ball deep. His arm strength is actually very underrated, I will admit. He can throw the ball deep. He gets it deep. That's why they got CeeDee Lamb. That's why they have Michael Gallup. That's why they have CeeDee Lamb. Guys like that, right? That go throw the ball deep. And this is another guy, too. If you're wondering, really just how good he is, I truly believe he's a top 10 quarterback. I know there's a lot of people out there who say that he isn't. I know there's a lot of people out there who completely disagree with me. I know there's some people out there that I know that are about in the middle, and there's very rarely do people agree that he's a top 10 quarterback. I don't know why that is, but I think last season it showed you that he was a top 10 quarterback, because right when he went down, that entire Cowboys team went down. And I think that goes to show you something. And you can't say, and you don't have that either, that, oh, well, Andy Dalton was playing around. No. Andy Dalton, Dak Prescott was playing with that same exact offense as Andy Dalton was. Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. Andy Dalton goes in and really struggles. Now, I'm not trying to compare Andy Dalton with Dak Prescott, but I'm just saying that's how important Dak Prescott is to this team. Dak Prescott, it gets injured, this team goes downhill. This team goes completely downhill. If Dak Prescott plays that whole season, they make the playoffs. This team goes completely downhill right after Dak Prescott got injured. And that's, I think, something else that could really prove that he deserves the money. Sometimes, if players get injured and the team starts playing even better without them, well, that might be a little bit of concerning because people might wonder, well, I mean, why are all of a sudden we're playing better when our starters? No, the Cowboys last season were terrible when Dak Prescott went down. Every single offense statistic went down. And I don't know if you're going to be able to find a quarterback that's going to be able to fill in the shoes in Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's done a lot in a couple years with the Cowboys than many of these quarterbacks coming up. Because the Cowboys, it's not like they got a, I'm not too sure when the Cowboys draft, but it's not like they got a top 5 pick. I mean, maybe, I don't even know if Trey Lance will be there for them. So, I mean, it's not like you can go out and draft a quarterback either. And we've seen Ben DiNucci, he's not the answer. We saw, Andy Dalton, he's not the answer. Dak Prescott, they need, they need him. They need him, right? If he leaves this team's going to be down again. They need Dak Prescott. And everyone always talks about it, and I will always talk about it too. That 500-yard game he had against the Cleveland Browns, who the Cleveland Browns, let me tell you, went to the divisional round and actually slowed down Patrick Mahomes for the most part. That game, he threw for over 500 passing yards. You know how hard that is? There's quarterbacks that do that in 6 games. He did that in 1 game. He was on pace to put up, I think he was on pace to have the most passing yards out of any quarterback in the NFL. And then he got injured, obviously. This is a guy, too. He's a big yards quarterback. Everyone always talks about yards and quarterbacks. He's that guy. He checks off almost every box. Touchdown, good. Accuracy, good. Arm strength, not the best in the NFL, but he's got talent. He's got arm talent. Does he stay healthy? Yes. I understand he got injured last season, but before that, he played every game. It's not like, for example, a lingering injury. It's not like one season sometimes players have these lingering injuries, right? They have these things. For example, like a Cam Newton. Ever since that foot injury hit, he's had a lingering foot injury. So comment down below what you think of Dak Prescott. Do you think he should get a long-term extension? I think they should pay him all he wants because he's huge. And we saw when he got injured, almost like when he got injured, this Cowboys team just quit. They just decided not to show up the rest of the season. That's what it looked like. Especially NFC fans out there. Your Washington fans, your Eagles fans, your Giants fans. You watched this team. You watched them without Dak Prescott. You saw them twice. Some of you guys saw them twice without Dak. The Giants saw them once with Dak and once without. I don't remember about the Eagles. I think Washington saw them twice without Dak, yes. Eagles, I want to say yes, but I'm not sure. Giants, I know for a fact because he got injured in that Giants game, and the Giants still lost that game. That's another thing, too. If you really want to go back, right when Dak got injured in that game, it's ironic. It's quite ironic. When Dak gets injured, the Giants start making a comeback. Isn't that weird? Your star quarterback gets injured, the Giants make a comeback. That's odd. That's really odd. That just the timing must have been excellent on that. So right when your star quarterback goes down, the Giants make a comeback. They ended up losing, but it was like a 2-3 score game. Dak went down. And then it was I think it was 37-34 was the final. And then it was like after that game, everything went downhill. And they knew it. Right when that play happened, they knew it. First off, you knew that he was done for the season. And second of all, they knew, oh man, this is bad. We're not in a good position. So, I'm telling you, Dak Prescott deserves the extension. Dak Prescott rumors, no progress has been made on long-term Cowboys contract. Now, if you're asking me my opinion on if I think he's going to get it, knowing the Cowboys, and for some reason, it's almost like they don't want to pay Dak Prescott, I wouldn't be surprised if they just give him another exclusive franchise tag. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Dak gets angry here and just says, I want to go to a team That actually, I feel like in a way, secretly, the Dallas Cowboys don't have enough money because they gave Elliott their entire, they gave Elliott everything. They made Elliott one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. And I feel like now, that was bad decision making on Jones's part because they made Elliott a high paid running back. And then now they're almost like, oh gosh, we gave him all that money, we don't have enough for Dak. And you're starting to realize, well, Dak is the more pivotal part of this team because when Dak got injured, this team was terrible. Elliott, I don't think if Elliott's injured that this team could still stay afloat. I think, but when Dak got injured, this team went downhill. So let's see here. This is a pretty long article, to be honest. The Dallas Cowboys and quarterback Dak Prescott reportedly haven't made any substantial progress toward a long-term contract extension ahead of the 2021 NFL season. ESPN's Jeff Darlington reported Tuesday on Get Up the Cowboys will probably use the franchise tag on Prescott, who would otherwise become an unrestricted free agent for the second straight year if no agreement is reached by the March 9th deadline to utilize the tag. Very important to point out here, though speaking with people on both sides of this thing, it does not sound as if any progress has been made in a long-term extension for Dak Prescott, Darlington said. Jane Slater of the NFL Network later reported that the Cowboys will not franchise tag Prescott on Tuesday. Slater added, the two sides have held talks, though nothing meaningful has taken place. The 27-year-old Mississippi State product played the 2020 season under a one-year, $31.4 million contract after being given the franchise tag by the Cowboys. If tagged again, he will receive a 20% raise to $37.7 million on another one-year deal for 2021. Prescott was off to another strong start in 2020 with a 68% completion rate. Like I said, accuracy is amazing. The average in the NFL, you could see anywhere from like 58 to 61. He was almost 70%. That's very high. Completion rate for 1,856 yards with 9 touchdowns and 4 interceptions through 5 appearances before suffering a season-ending ankle injury. He also tallied 3 rushing scores. The two-time Pro Bowl selection hadn't missed any time over the first 4 seasons because of injury and ranks tied for 7th with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' Tom Brady in career passer rating 97.3 among active signal callers. He's up there with Tom Brady and some of the best of them in some categories. You're not going to give this guy the money? I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, but when you say because of injury, he ranks tied for 7th in career passer rating. Now, he's only played a little bit. Brady's played a very long time. Brady's the all-time great. Do I think Dak Prescott's be the next Tom Brady? No. I don't think there's going to be a next Tom Brady. It's going to be rare. I mean, it could be Mahomes to be the next, great. I don't know if you'll ever see Tom Brady up there. I mean, I'm not up there. I don't know if you'll only see anyone like Tom Brady up there. I really don't. It's going to be tough. I mean, you might get some person that's, not even born yet, that's, 20 years from now, they're taking the league by storm. But, I mean, even Mahomes, he's good and all. He'll definitely, I think if Mahomes continues to do what he does, he will go down as a great. One of the all-time greats. Do I think he will be the greatest? I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to tell. But Brady, man, and I'll get back to this in a second. It's a little off topic. But Brady, Brady's just on the next level. I mean, the guy's got 7 Super Bowls wins. I mean, same thing with Michael Jordan. I mean, you could say LeBron James, but Michael Jordan, it's just the whole thing, same thing with Michael Jordan. The whole 6 or 6 in the NBA Finals, that's not, that's on another level. You know how hard that is? Go to 6 finals and win all 6 of them? I mean, that's the one problem with LeBron. His finals record ain't great. Brady's is. He's 7-3 in the Super Bowl. So, I don't know if you ever find it. But it is pretty cool to be up there in the top 10 at least in passer rating, or so you're somewhere near Brady. But in January, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said Prescott held a lot of cards as the sides headed toward the negotiation table. I don't know how you could have any more leverage, Jones said on 105.3 The Fan. Dak might be a picture postcard, so to speak. He's evolving into an NFL quarterback, has been nothing short of a picture perfect. Perfect picture. Long-term deal would likely be better for the Dallas short-term financially outlook since a $37.7 $7.7 million cap hit in a year where the salary is expected to decline isn't ideal. But there is also risks associated to a lucrative extension for a player who's coming off of a major injury. The bottom line is the Cowboys can't allow Prescott to leave without a succession plan in place at the sport's most important position. The front office will have little choice beyond using the tag again if the sides can't reach a deal in the next 2 weeks. Garrett Gilbert, Cooper Rush, and Ben DiNucci are the team's other quarterbacks under contract for 2021, with veteran backup Andy Dalton set to become a free agent. I don't believe they'll get Andy Dalton back. I wouldn't be surprised if Dalton retires, or if he doesn't retire, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another backup role. You know what I'm saying? It's a very big injury, and you want to see how he returns, but other than that, he hasn't missed a start. And I want to show you something here, too. Garrett Gilbert, Cooper Rush, and Ben DiNucci. Those are your other options. And I don't know if you're going to be able to trade to get a quarterback in the draft. You might be able to. Who knows? I mean, that's unless if you pull off some crazy thing where you do a tag, where you franchise tag them. But that's nothing. That hurts your thing because that's $37.7 million in 1 year. That's almost like saying, let me give you a 1 year, $37.7 million deal. No, that's just dumb. If you're going to re-sign him, give him a big deal. And that's what I feel like, too. Dak Prescott, everyone every year is doubting him. Oh, I don't know if he could do it again. And then he had a great year. Oh, I don't know if he could do it this year. He has a great year. Oh, I don't think he can do it this year. Has a great year. Like, when is people going to finally admit that Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback? And this is the thing that I said earlier on in the podcast, is I feel like just because he's on the Cowboys and just because he puts on that jersey every week, people just don't think he's good. Every year, every single year this happens. Oh, I don't think Dak Prescott's going to be good this year. He goes off and has an amazing year. Oh, I really don't think Dak Prescott's going to be good this year. Up, goes off. He's not going to be good this year. Has another great year. Like, how many more seasons of him being amazing are people finally going to realize that he is a very good quarterback? And just because he's on the Cowboys doesn't mean he's not good, doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a contract. People, I've admitted to it. Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. I can't stand him, but I'll admit he's the greatest of all time. And I said earlier on the podcast, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to touch him. I think Mahomes will come. I think Mahomes is going to be. I think if Mahomes keeps it up, he will probably. If Mahomes keeps it up, he's going to be one of the greatest. If you look at the numbers, he has these numbers every single year. He's definitely going to go down to it. But you're going to have your down years and your high up years. But if Mahomes keeps it up, he will be one of the greatest. But the greatest is Brady. If you really split Brady's career into three different things, he technically could have had three different Hall of Fame careers into one. Just think about that. I was reading this thing. If you combine his career from the beginning part of his career to the middle part of his career until now, he's won like 3 Super Bowls each. Like, it's crazy. Like, it really is crazy. It really is. And, sometimes, it really is crazy. Like, those 3 careers, you could break Brady's career up into 3 parts. And he could have 3 different Hall of Fame careers in each part. But that's combined into 1 career. But Dak Prescott's very good. And I definitely think if he keeps it up, like this goes back to my point with Prescott here. You might hate him, but you got to admit sometimes that he's good. He's a very good quarterback. Many might not like the Cowboys or Jerry Jones, but you got to admit, they've got some good talent on that team. Right? You got to admit some things in sports sometimes. And I don't like to do it always. I could be that way sometimes where, if I don't like a player, I don't like to, talk highly of them because I don't like them. But this is a situation here where, you kind of got to look at it as, I get he's a Cowboy and all, but he's a very good player. And he's a big part of this Cowboys team. So, we'll see. And if you want to see the Cowboys just fail, then I guess, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. If you want to see the Cowboys fail, then they shouldn't re-sign him. Because that's a terrible decision if they don't re-sign him. But we'll see. So here we go. So, 2020 season stats. He had 1,856 yards. That was tied. That can't be right. That he was second in the NFL. That can't be correct. Maybe it was. 9 touchdowns. That tied for 69th. And 4 interceptions, 150 plus. QBR rating of 78.7, not 17th. He played 5 games last season. In those 5 games, he had a 68 completion percentage, which was the highest in his career. At that point, he had 1,856 yards. And like I said, his first 4 years of his career, 16 games, 16 games, 16 games, 16 games. Last season, only 5, but he obviously had the terrible ankle injury. But I think he'll be able to bounce back well from that. So, comment down below your thoughts. He's only 27 years old, too. It's not like this ankle injury is happening when he's 30, when he's late 30s or even later in his career. It's happening when he's 27, so he's still relatively young. But sometimes this happens where sometimes the hatred of the team takes over of thinking the player's good. So comment down below your thoughts on it, and it's gonna happen. I mean, players are gonna get these contracts like this. It's gonna happen, and we'll see how it plays out. But I definitely think Dak Prescott should get a contract extension. Coming up next, we're gonna get into some of the NFL franchise tag rumors. Tell you a little bit of who I think could very well get franchise tag. Tell you who I think won't, who I think should, and some of that other stuff coming up next. Alrighty, so let's get this up here. Okay, so alright, so NFL franchise tag candidates and 2020 predictions. Dak Prescott, Aaron Jones, top list of about 22 players here. So I'm not gonna read this whole thing. But there's about 22 players on this list of possible teams. About one from each team. And this is an ESPN thing, so you can article. I'm not gonna tell you each one, but just a couple. There's definitely a couple names out there. I mean, I'm interested to see what the Jets do with. I'm interested to see what the Jets do with Marcus May. As a New York sports fan, I'm interested to see what the Jets do. As someone who talks a lot about New York sports, I'm interested to see what the Giants do with Leonard Williams. Do they re-sign him to a big deal, or do they give him a big deal? Do they do a franchise tag? What do they do with him? I'm interested to see that, and I'm sure you are as well. So, today was the start of the franchise tag. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see too much today. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see too much today on the franchise tag front. I wouldn't even be surprised if you don't see much at all on the franchise tag. I mean, the way this offseason's rolling, these teams could very well just be done with. It's a franchise tag, so that's what you got to do, and that's another thing. Franchise tags, you got to use them wisely because you get one franchise tag, that's it. You can't franchise tag 5 different players. You get one franchise tag, and that's it. If you decide to franchise tag a player, that's it. You can't franchise tag anyone else. So it's definitely, as a matter of fact, other than signing and trying to trade for players, it does take a lot of thinking. It takes a lot of negotiating. It takes a lot of, planning and stuff because you can't just franchise tag a player just to franchise tag a guy. You got to have a reason. You got to really play it out. You could say about anything in sports, but especially with the franchise tag because you only have one of them. You only have one franchise tag. So you can't, let's just say you give the franchise tag to player 1, so now you got to deal with player 2, right? There could be multiple guys on your team that might be in the running for a franchise tag, and you're going to have to decide between one of them, which sometimes teams just decide to let one go and try to give the other one, or sometimes teams decide to franchise tag one and believe that they can work out a deal with another. Sometimes that's also the deal. Sometimes, if you have 2 guys on your team that are possible franchise tags, sometimes that could very well mean that, one guy might be, you feel more confident negotiating with this one guy than having this other guy negotiate, right? That could be very well a thing. But some of the bigger names that are out there on the franchise tags are guys like running back of the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Jones, like I just talked about in the first segment of the podcast, Dak Prescott. If you're going into New York sports standards, you got Jet safety Marcus May. You've got, which I'll be probably talking about, one of these podcasts coming up. What are the Jets going to do? I kind of want to do what the Jets are going to do this offseason. There's definitely some things the Jets are going to have to make some moves. What are we doing with Darnold? What are we doing with the number 2 pick? What are we doing what are we doing free agency? Are we going to get Watson? What are we going to do with Marcus May? Different things and different things like that. Are we going to address the running back, issue here, or are we going to go full on build receivers in the draft? What are we going to do? So there's so many questions for the Jets. I actually think this is one of the more seasons with the Jets where you don't have a firm plan. It's kind of just like, go in there, hope you get the players that you want, right? Even at the number 2 pick, it's not like we have a firm plan of what we're going to do. We might go Wilson, we might go Fields, we might trade it, we might trade back, we might get Watson, we might give up Darnold. I mean, there's so many different things we could do on the number 2 pick, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if the New York Jets, and I'll get back to the whole franchise thing in a second, I wouldn't be surprised if the New York Jets make most of their moves on draft night, if that means trading picks, if that means getting other guys. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but that's a little bit down the road here. We'll talk about all that when the time comes there. But there's definitely some guys that are out there on the franchise tag. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But I'm going to read you, each player, the 2020, I did not mean to do that. The 22 players, these are like the top list of guys that are out there. So let's do this. So here we go. So Atlanta Falcons, Keanu Neal, safety. Buffalo Bills, Matt Milano, linebacker. Baltimore Ravens, either this is one of these things too, is you got one franchise tag, so you got to use it wisely. Ravens possibly have 2 franchise tag targets here, Matthew Judon or Yannick Ngakoue. You've got 2 of them. I'm hearing a lot of rumblings that teams are trying to get Yannick Ngakoue, so maybe that's a thing you franchise tag, make sure no one else gets him, and negotiate with a guy like a Matthew Judon. That very well could be the case. Taylor Morton, right tackle for the Panthers. Cincinnati Bengals, Carl Lawson, defensive end. Allen Robinson, wide receiver for Chicago Bears. Dak Prescott, obviously from the Dallas Cowboys, talked about him. Justin Simmons, safety of the Denver Broncos. Detroit Lions, wide receiver Kenny Golladay. Green Bay Packers, running back Aaron Jones. Houston Texans, wide receiver Will Fuller. Los Angeles Chargers, tight end Hunter Henry. Jacksonville Jaguars, left tackle Cam Robinson. New England Patriots, left guard Joe Thuney. New Orleans Saints, safety Marcus Williams. New York Giants defensive lineman Leonard Williams. New York Jets safety Marcus May. Seattle Seahawks cornerback Shaquille Griffin. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin. Tennessee Titans tight end Jonnu Smith. Washington football team right guard Brandon Sheriff. So those are guys. So the big names I look at are Kenny Golladay, Allen Robinson, Dak Prescott. What I'm interested to see what Leonard Williams and Marcus May do. Now, other NFL fans might not be. NFL fans are probably more intrigued to see what Chris Godwin does, what Allen Robinson does, right? But as a fan and a follower of New York sports, and I talk about it, that's going to be interesting to see how Dave Gettleman and Joe Douglas play those to do what those two do to those 2 players. Do they franchise tag them, or do they try to work out a long-term deal? I've been hearing a lot of rumblings to kind of break it down that at Chris Godwin that the Bucs are full on, head on. One of their top priorities this season is to bring back Chris Godwin. And one of the big things this year, I think what Chris Godwin proved to a lot of people, and I'm a big believer in this, that 1-year wonders really are a thing. And I really believe that as a organization, as a GM, you should give a player time. Don't give him a monster deal after 1 great year. I want to see them do 2. Chris Godwin had a great season last year, and this most recent year had another very good season. So I think this would be the time now to give him that long-term deal. He proved that he's not a 1-year wonder. He proved that he's good for 2 straight years. He proved when you give him a good quarterback. He proved when you give him the right routes and they give him the right offensive system to be in. He proved that he can be a solid player. So I would go ahead and say Chris Godwin definitely. Even guys like Joe Thuney. I mean, his name has popped around. I don't know I don't think the Patriots. If I had to predict here, I don't think the Patriots. Joe Thuney's been a name that the Jets are very heavily, possibly looking at to build our offensive line. He's obviously a left guard. Jets could use one of those. We obviously got a tackle. We've got a guard. And not saying that I'm not trying to start anything here, but if the Jets are building the left side of the line here, or looking to build the left side of the line, that could mean that they're planning on bringing in a righty quarterback again and not grabbing a lefty. Although, I'm not, like I said, that's not really starting anything. I don't even know, there's not too many lefties out there, but, that could mean that the Jets are maybe bringing in a guy that likes to run a lot, and he likes to run up the left side or whatever. That's just me, one thinking and just trying to think of stuff. But, I would go ahead and say, that Joe Thuney if I had to choose, probably won't get franchise tagged. Allen Robinson, Hunter Henry too. This is a guy too that says he wants to get a long-term deal, and he said that if he's going to go to a team, he wants to go to a team with a very good quarterback. Well, he's on a team right now with a very good quarterback in the Los Angeles Chargers, and that is Justin Herbert, your 2021 NFL offseason or NFL Rookie of the Year for offensive side of the ball there. And he said that he wants to join. He said he wants to go to a team with a good quarterback. Now, I don't know if he realized. He had to realize, but Justin Herbert's a very good quarterback. I believe last season he was the best quarterback in that draft. Obviously, Burrow got injured, so you didn't get to see a full season of him. And, we'll see how that plays out. But Hunter Henry definitely. And, he's another one, too, is do you want to give all your money on Hunter Henry and then possibly down the road, Justin Herbert come along and you're still paying Hunter Henry less? That's all what these teams think about. It's not always just now, it's also the future. You could be looking at a guy and, I don't want to spend all the money on this guy right now because who knows, next season, a guy who we might want to spend our money on might be coming up. That's what makes these decisions so tough, is you might want to keep a guy like Hunter Henry, but at the same time, you might be at odds, but at the same time, you might have to choose between one or two players. And that's the tough part. That's the business part of it. That's when the players say that's business. That's the business. Green Bay Packers, this one's tough. Because, see, I just don't, after them making the NFC Championship game last season and realistically being one touchdown away from winning to go into the Super Bowl, I can't see this team just letting Aaron Jones walk, but sources, people, ESPN, people that I, really watch and trust, they say that he's not going to, I think he will. I think that he will become a free agent. I don't think they're going to use the franchise tag on him, but at the same time, it's just going to be so odd. I can't picture him not being a member of that Green Bay Packers team next season. That's just, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting to see. Kenny Golladay, I don't think they used the franchise tag for the Lions. Allen Robinson, his name has popped up in a possible tag and trade, which if you don't know what that means, it means you franchise tag the guy and then you trade him right away. So a quick tag and trade situation, which would hurt the Jets because I'd much rather Jets just sign Allen Robinson in free agency than have to give up pieces for him. But at the end of the day, that might be the smart move. Now, if the Bears believe that Allen Robinson is too valuable and they don't just want him to walk into free agency, they might go ahead and say, let's franchise tag him and get something in return for him. But at the same time, then you got to see, okay, well, if we already used the franchise tag, do we want to use something else on? Look at a team like you even look at a team, you look at a team, too, like the Baltimore Ravens. Well, what do you want to do here with Matthew Judon and Yannick Ngakoue? Or even a team like the Buffalo Bills, where Matt Milano said he'll test free agency. If you're the Buffalo Bills, do you want to avoid that and just say give him the franchise tag and keep him on the team? And, avoid him from testing free agency and signing elsewhere? Because Matt Milano had a pretty good year this year. He was definitely a pretty key part of that Bills defense. He wasn't the best guy in the defense, but he definitely had his moments. He definitely was a solid player in that defense. So what do you want to do? Do you want to franchise tag him, avoid him from entering the free agency, and avoid him from, other teams possibly making better deals? Or do you want to go ahead and say, hey, you know what? You're going to go into free agency. If you don't, we're going to also negotiate with you, right? That's one of the things. There's so many different things. There's even a guy like a Keanu Neal safety. the Jets. I think the Jets have a safety of Marcus May, but who knows? What if the Jets don't get Marcus May back and could Keanu Neal be a possible, solution? There's so many different guys, and even like a guy like a Jonnu Smith, who's been okay his entire career, had a great season last year, was one of the better tight ends in the league last season. Do you want to, or is this a guy that you're going to want to invest a lot of money in? Or is this a guy that you're going to want to see? And that's one of the things here with Dak Prescott is I don't know how much more he has to prove of him getting a long-term deal. So there's definitely a lot of questions. There's always a lot of questions in the offseason, but I feel like franchise tags especially, there's always a lot more questions because it's like, sometimes you use the franchise tag if a guy's coming off of a really good year and they want to see if they want to see how he does that next season. Right? That's usually an option too. That's why it's odd to see Dak Prescott possibly get franchise tag back-to-back years. His injury. I wouldn't be surprised, and we'll never know. But I wouldn't even be surprised even if Dak didn't get injured last season, if he's still possible franchise tag. I really wouldn't. Something about Dak and people just not believing he's that, like, I don't know. Something about it. I mean, Cowboys fans really like him, but other than that, many other football fans and, for some weird reason, like I said, it could very well be that the fact that he's the Cowboys and no one likes the Cowboys. Not many people like the Cowboys. I mean, even if you don't really have much to do with the Cowboys, you're not even in the NFC, so you might just not might not like them. Their whole America team, Jerry Jones, all the money, right? A lot of people don't like them, but, the franchise tags are, I shouldn't say it's a lot of decision making, but there's a lot of predictions that go into it. Because you could go either way, like Matt Milano or Marcus May. Like, I want the Jets to sign him to a long-term deal, but at the same time, do the Jets want to, he had a really good year last season. He's been solid his whole career. Last season, he really broke out. So do you want to see if he can be another breakout player again? I think he can be because Jamal Adams is out of there now. So I think now he's finally truly getting that chance. Being the safety. He had a very good year last year, though. And we'll be talking Marcus May, too. I really like Marcus May. And whatever it takes to get him back on this team, I want him on this team. Whether that is a big deal, I want him. I want him back on this team. He was a pivotal part to that defense. That would be a huge, huge loss and hit for the New York Jets if we don't get him back. And franchise tag, then use the franchise tag on him. And the Jets don't have many other guys out there that you want to use the franchise tag on. I mean, but at the same time, that also goes into your decisions you're making with the other players. So there's so many different decisions, like I said. Franchise tag could affect so many different things. If you give this guy a long-term deal, well, then what's going to happen with this other guy you were looking at, right? There's so many different things. So we'll see how it plays out. But, we'll see how it plays out. But it's going to be really interesting to see how it, how it plays out, and do we see any, not so common, but do we see any tag and trades where you franchise tag them and the next moment they're headed to another team? We'll see how it all plays out. So now let's head in here to the final topic of the day, which is the college basketball game picks and all that good stuff. Alrighty. Alrighty, so let's get up here. So college basketball. So I don't know why that always does that. So college basketball yesterday. Oklahoma State won and USC won. Obviously, Duke, I was talking about them. They won. I was watching that game a little bit. But today we got, for the ranked games, we got Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, give Virginia Tech the win. Illinois, Michigan State, give Illinois the win. West Virginia, TCU, give West Virginia the win. Baylor, Iowa State, give Baylor the win. Villanova, St. John's, give Villanova the win. Texas, Kansas, give Texas the win. Oklahoma, Kansas State, give Oklahoma the win. And Missouri, Ole Miss, give Missouri the win. So that's your college basketball there. As for the NBA, yesterday the Wizards won, Jazz won, Heat won, Suns won, Mavericks won, and Bulls won. Today we got the Hawks, Cavs, give Hawks the win. Magic, Pistons, give Magic the win. 76ers, Raptors, give 76ers the win. Celtics, Mavericks, give Celtics the win. Warriors, Knicks, give Warriors the win. Bucks, Timberwolves, give Bucks the win. Nuggets, Trailblazers, give Nuggets the win. And Clippers, Wizards, give Clippers the win. The Nets also play today. Nets come in this game 20-12. Kings come in this game 12-18. The Nets are 6-point favorites. The over/under is 242.5 for this game. This game comes on today, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Yes. I'll give the Nets the win. We're rolling right now, 20-12. Make that 21-12. Hopefully tonight we get another win. We're on a 6-game win streak. Let's make that 7 games tonight. First game back with fans in the building. Go Nets. I'll give them a win. We're rolling right now. We also beat the Kings on our second game of the West Coast trip, so I'll give the Nets the win here. As for this today, we got the Wild Coyotes. Wild Coyotes, or Wild won, Coyotes won, Golden Knights won, Kings won, Lightning won, Panthers won, Flames won, Islanders won. And today we got the Blue Jackets, Blackhawks, give Blue Jackets the win. Canadian Senators, give Canadians the win. Penguins, Capitals give Penguins the win. Sabres, Devils give Devils the win. Red Wings, Predators give Predators the win. And Oilers, Canucks give Oilers the win. So that's that. And as for the fantasy, right now I'm going pretty good there. So fantasy basketball, I'm winning 105-60. So going pretty good there. Today I've got going Trae Young, Bradley Beal, Jeremy Grant, Pascal Siakam, Kyrie Irving, Fred VanVleet, and Kemba Walker. And the same news here. Lowry ankle is Lowry. So the new question, Lowry I have in, but we'll see how that plays out. Lowry is out here. Lowry ankle is questionable, as listed as questionable for Tuesday's game against the 76ers. Ryan Wolstadt of the Toronto Sun reports. So we'll see how that plays out there. Oladipo foot is questionable for Wednesday's game against the Cavaliers. John Fine of the Houston Chronicle reports. So it's really the same injury there. Update there. So now for fantasy hockey, we got I'm winning 16-11 right now, so going pretty good there. These are the players I got going today. I got Jack Eichel, Jamie Benn, Nicholas Backstrom, Joe Pavelski, Jeff Petrie, Ryan Ellis, Duncan Keith, Shea Weber, Adam Larson, Brock Bossier, and Jacob Markstrom's day-to-day. Markstrom upper body has been ruled out for Monday's game against the Maple Leafs, so that happened yesterday. Hopefully he gets back there. So yeah. So going pretty good at fantasy right now. Just the injuries. That's the one thing that stinks in fantasy, and that's how I usually draft sometimes. And you can look at fantasy almost like giving a guy a contract. You don't want to give a guy a contract who's injured all the time. That's how I draft. If a guy's injury prone, I might pass up on him. If he's not injury prone, a guy like a Kyle Lowry. It's just an injury. Anthony Davis, it's an injury. There's some guys out there. There's guys out there that are injury prone, that are injured a ton. And there's some guys out there that aren't injured as much and they're just injured. So injuries. That's the one thing in fantasy that stink. Or injuries. And then you always I'm doing well in both leagues. I'm above 500 in both leagues. I'm doing well. So I shouldn't be complaining too much, but. Then you always go back and you wonder, what if I would have drafted this guy and this guy? Hindsight, like they always say, hindsight 2020, right? Hindsight 2020. If you look back at a draft or anything in sports or anything in general, you're always gonna do it the right way. Hindsight 2020. So, but it is what it is. My teams have been doing good, so I can't complain too much. It's just the injuries. Fantasy football. I remember. In fantasy football, I was doing so well. The first 3-4 weeks of the season, I didn't have any injuries. And all of a sudden, the 1 week I had 2 guys placed on IR at the same time. One guy, George Kittle, then broke his foot. He came back to finish out the final 2 weeks of the season. But then, he got injured. Then David Johnson got injured. I had injuries everywhere. Chris Carson missed some time. I had injuries all over the place. So, I had injuries all over the place. It was almost like it was like right when I said it, all of a sudden I get all these injuries. So, as long as my team continues to stay healthy, I have a good shot at going deep into the playoffs in both leagues. So, that should be pretty good. But, that would do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. It was another very, very good podcast. Good amount of baseball and football coming up. Football, especially with the franchise tag. If someone gets franchise tagged, I'm going to talk about it because that's big. That's some big news. If I see some of the bigger name players, if they get franchise tagged, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole franchise tag stuff plays out. A couple comments here. Comment down below your thoughts on Dak Prescott. Does he deserve a contract? All that good stuff. And then some of your predictions on the NFL franchise tag. And some of that, your predictions of different players and stuff like that. So so that's all I got for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.